So the patrons voted for Lumineon, but you already know how such a video would go. Lumineon is famously terrible, except it's not quite so terrible as to be memorable, which makes it even worse. It's a bland, forgettable nothing of a Pokemon. So rather than listlessly chronicle its non-existence in the competitive scene, or make a joke out of it, we discussed it with the patrons, and we've put together something a little different. Today we're going to be fixing the Lumineons of the world, but not just Pokemon that are bad, but those that are forgettable. Lumineon has, alongside perhaps Maractus, ironically become known for being so forgettable. But there were plenty of other nondescript Pokemon overlooked for generations and generations that we only knew to put in this video because a stroll through the Pokedex reminded us of their existence. So in fixing these Pokemon, we're not going to give them evolutions or mega evolutions, warranted though they may be, but that's too simple. We're going to limit ourselves to buffs deemed reasonable by our discretion, but we're also going to completely overhaul these Pokemon into distinct new forms so that they can become viable, or at least memorable. So today, we are fixing forgettable Pokemon, working with what we can call the Lumineon theorem. And just like we're gonna fix these Pokemon, fix your look with this video sponsor, Manscaped. Manscaped is back with a game changer. The Manscaped Beard and Balls bundle featuring the Lawnmower 5.0 Ultra and the Beard Hedger. Two products because using the same trimmer for both your face and below the waist is gross. For your nether region, the Lawnmower 5.0 has two interchangeable skin-safe blades if you prefer precision or smoothness. The updated trimmer blade features longer, wider, and rounded teeth that cut through hair with ease. Then there's also the foil blade, which is designed to leave you with a finish that's irresistibly sleek and utterly bare. Use it to go beyond the boundaries of your typical trim that's achieved with the trimmer blade. But wait, there's more. With 3 different comb options, included a fixed length comb and 2 adjustable combs, you have complete control over your preferred hair length. It also has a dual LED spotlight so you can groom even those darkest corners. Now let's talk about the Beard Hedger. This has been my go-to for a year now to keep my facial hair sleek without shaving it off completely. Featuring a titanium-coated stainless steel T-blade with 20 different length options selected effortlessly with the zoom wheel, you can achieve any look. And of course, both devices are wireless, hold up to a 60-minute runtime on a single charge, and are waterproof. So if you want to look clean in both areas and also support the channel to help us produce more content, bundle up and get 20% off plus free international shipping when you use code FALLSWIPE at checkout. Head over to manscaped.com and get your hands on the Beard and Balls bundle today. Let's start off with the not-so-big fish itself. Lumineon is the quintessential generic water type. Its distinguishing traits being, well, you run into it and its pre-evolution Finneon when heading to Victory Road and Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, so there's that. Its base HP, attack, and special attack stat are all 69, which is funny if you're an adolescent, literally or mentally. We're really trying here, but yeah, that's it. Lumineon's presence is zilch. It is a masterstroke in forgettability. It is banal, boring, flavorless. It is off-brand cereal. It is the person whose face you forget while looking at them. If you put Lumineon through the It's a Wonderful Life scenario, where it sees what life would have been like without its presence, nothing would change. Okay, that last part was probably a little cruel. We're sure someone out there was very attached to their in-game Finneon turned Lumineon, which wound up ice beaming Cynthia's Garchomp or something. But you get the picture. After 2 generations of nothingness, it actually did have one solid niche in the competitive scene. It was a nice defogger in Oras PU, so that's cool. However, even its tenure there was bland. Defogging, scalding, and U-turning is nice and all, but it was really more there to facilitate its teammates. You don't have to be thrilling to be good, of course, but that was the end of Lumineon's time in the competitive scene. The next gen of PU sent it right back to untiered. It then took Gen 8 off and is untiered again now in Gen 9. So how do we build a niche out of Lumineon? And moreover, how do we make it more interesting? We could just buff its stats enough to where it do that whole generic water defogger thing in PU at some point, but seeing as half of the point of Lumineon is that it is so often outclassed, let's try to spice it up. First, we're going to mix up Lumineon's typing. There are more than enough pure waters out there. We're going to add half fairy typing, which seems fitting seeming as it already learns fairy moves like Dazzling Gleam. Water Fairy is certainly not uncharted territory, but it's still rather unique, all things considered, and offers many possibilities in its excellent resist of fighting and dark Dark, as well as its Dragon immunity. It also gives Lumineon useful secondary stab. Next up, we're going to address those stats, and we're not going to touch the base attack, since we'd hate to take someone's ability to say nice over it, but the HP and special attack have to change. Seeing as Lumineon's base stat total is so pitiful, we have no reservation in cranking both of those up by quite a bit. The HP is going up by 20 points to base 89, which is as far as it seems right for a Pokemon of Lumineon's slight stature, while the special attack is going up 26 points to a solid base 95. Neither of these are still very high, of course, but they're a good start. Oh, but we're not done either. We'll limit ourselves to a base stat of, say, 85, not quite a Mega Evolution, but still enough to be significant. And with that in mind, we've still got 39 points to spend. So we're cranking the special defense up by 15 to a nice base 101. And with the remaining 24, we're bringing the defense to an even 100. So Lumineon is now quite tanky and even more adept at striking back at the opponent, assisted in both endeavors by its newly gained fairy typing, and the fact that at base 91 speed is actually a pretty quick mover. However, like we said, we're not just going to crank up the stats, because that just makes Lumineon a better version of a generic water, and we've got enough of those. Even with the fairy typing bestowing the obvious choices of Moonblast and Draining Kiss on it, we're going to go further with some moves to make it stand out. Leaning further into its newfound fairy status, we're also giving Lumineon some other useful moves in Wish and Heal Bell, and since its flipper seems fitting for it, we're giving it Knockoff as well, plus Calm Mind. With these moves and its new bulk, Lumineon can act as a sort of water-type Clefable, and its access to a speedy flip turn also provides more depth to its move pool. It could probably even run a solid offensive Calm Mind set with Hydro Pump. This new Lumineon isn't just taking on Clefable as qualities either, because we still have an ability to gift it. Its abilities are all solid, but we want to take it in another direction. So we're gifting it Shed Skin, a thematically fitting ability that gives Lumineon more utility as a status absorber. So behold our new and improved Lumineon, and let us know what you think. Now that we know what we're in for, let's continue, as we have Lumineon's fellow forgotten icon, oxymoron, Maractus, who is in a similar need of an overhaul. Maractus actually has some amazing moves: Spikes, Knockoff, Leech Seed, Spiky Shield, and a great base 106 special attack stat alongside Stab, Leaf Storm. Sadly, the rest of its stats are abysmal, so we're going to fix those first. Maractus clearly wants to play like a supportive tank that can both dish and take hits, so we'll optimize it towards the end. It can keep its low speed, and its special attack doesn't really need help, so we're going to crank that bulk high. After all, cacti can withstand the desert, so they should have some tanking ability. With our 85 base stat total increase, we're going to split it semi-cleanly in 3. Maractus will gain base 27 in HP, bringing it to an excellent 102, and 28 in each defense, bringing it both up to 95. This makes it quite the respectable tank. Furthermore, we want it to stand out a little, so we're going to add some new typing. Giving its access to spikes and the desert setting it exists in, we feel making it half ground is warranted. That was pretty easy, as Maractus had the move pool, just not the stats. And by making its typing more unique, it stands out more from the horde of pure grasses populating the game. We want to take it a step further though, and really bring it from forgettable to uniquely memorable. We can do that through, again, a new ability. We settled on the thematically fitting Water Compaction, otherwise known as Palisand's ability, which raises defense by 2 upon being hit by a water type move. The water neutral grass ground Maractus would use this wonderfully, really reinforcing its status as a solid defensive Pokemon. Overall, this new Maractus is unique and solid without being overbearing. We'd have liked to have invent a new ability altogether, perhaps one that boosts the damage of its Leech Seed, but that's for another video. Oh, and we've also decided to boost Maractus's move pool by giving it Strength Stat, amazing recovery that also weakens the opponent's attack, which is perfectly in line with this strategy. Moving on, we've got a 2-for-1 deal in Gen 3's Pika clones, Plusle and Minun. These two have a nice idea behind their design, which is that they're best friends who get stronger when used together in double battles. But even there, they're too awful to be used, and they are utterly hapless in singles. So we're going to treat this like a Mega Charizard or Mewtwo X and Y scenario. They are practically identical Pokemon, so we will take this opportunity to buff them in different kinds of ways. First off, Plusle. It's the positive charge, overflowing with passion aggression, energy, and footwork. Both Pokemon have a solid base 95 speed, but Plusle has the higher base special attack stat, so we're going to lean into that and crank up the special attacking power big time. From 85 base special attack, we're going to bring the voltage all the way up to 130, a massive increase of plus 45, but we're just getting started. We still have 40 base points to spend. Let's be real, we're not going to do anything about Plusle's absurd frailty. We're leaning into that and giving those remaining 40 to speed, bringing it up to a screaming base 135. It's basically a nasty plotting Mega Manectric at this point. Now Plusle needs a new way to hit grounds, and Grass Knot just won't do. You know what? We're going all out on this pure offensive essence and making it half ice and giving it Ice Beam. That's right, Stab Bolt Beam, and complementing it will be Aura Sphere, not Focus Blast. Do you need an in-world explanation for the half ice thing? Well, Plusle demands a rapt captive audience for its cheering, and Ice Beam will freeze them into place. Don't worry about it. What you should worry about is dealing with this new form of Plusle, because we also need to find new use for its ability. Now, it feels wrong to rid Plusle of its signature ability, so we're just going to rework it instead. There's of course going to be a lot of priority leveled at this new Plusle, given its horrendous non-bulk and plethora of weakness courtesy of its new ice typing. So what we're going to do is take the idea of Plusle's enthusiasm for cheering and make it so strong and passionate that it gains a one-time immunity to priority moves. The plus comes from it being so overcharged that it has gained a surplus of energy to guard against these tactics. False Swipe game design soon coming to you. You can even give Plusle little icicles jutting out of its cheeks, and sparks of electricity are coming off of them. Now that's memorable. If Plusle was taking positivity and amping it all the way up into an extreme version of what this duel was previously, we're going to go the opposite direction with Minun's negativity. So far that we're going to come out on the other side with something completely different. Minun will discharge so many negative ions that it will wind up devoting itself to its defensive duties. It has the higher special defense after all. Let's give it an opportunity to use that nice wish in its move pool. So we're going to pull a Gen 9. We're going to knock its useless attack stat down to 10. The same as Blissey, which gives us an extra 30 base points to play with. We're immediately dumping those 30 points into HP, bringing it to a total of 90. If Minun is gonna wish pass, it's gonna need a respectable HP stat to do it with, and it's gonna need some help in the bulk department too. Then we enhance that already excellent special defense by 45, just like Plusle received, which cranks us all the way up to 130 just the same. This makes Minun quite a special tank with 40 points left to spend. Well, we're going to fix that heinous defense stat. Skarmory or Tangrowth it might not be, but we're going to dump the remaining 40 into defense, bringing it to a perfectly solid base 90 in conjunction with that nice HP stat. Okay, these stats are great, but what's Minun actually going to do besides take some hits and pass some wishes? And by the way, Mono Electric isn't exactly the best defensive typing in the world. Right you are, Chief, which is why we are making Minun half fairy type. Deden and Tapu Koko who? Deden wishes it could do what we're going to suggest. As for what it will actually do, well, we're gonna bolster it with support moves. It's already got Wish and Encore, so the next step is of course Knockoff. This one move allows it to meaningfully mess with just about anything. We're also giving it Taunt, which lets Minun use its superb speed for a tank to mess with opposing defense. However, the real prize comes in the form of how we're buffing Minus. We're going to let Minus play offense while on defense, because on each switch in, the first move Minus takes direct damage from will result in the opponent taking damage as well. It will be equivalent to an electric type variant of Stealth Rock, meaning the opponent will take damage per their weakness, neutrality, or resistance to it. With electric immunes taking no damage, the possibilities for use with this are unique as they are endless. Next up, we have Charizard, which has been neglected by Game Freak for far too long. It's been an entire generation since it's got some sort of special treatment. We have yet to receive both a future and past Paradox form for it, and we expect this to be rectified post-haste. We offer the name Iron Gosling as inspiration for the future form, except instead of a lizard dragon thing, it's a goose, and it's Fire Steel. And for good measure, when it hits the field, its battle cry is I Quark Drive. Finally, we have a starter who actually deserves some serious buffs, Meganium. In our updated Meganium video, we tossed around the idea of giving it Regenerator, which is fine, but instead of leaning into the whole defensive grass thing, it'd be much more interesting to completely reinvent it as an offensive threat. The revenge of the neglected starter. So seeing as Meganium already has Dragon Tail, and more importantly, Outrage, we have decided to make it a grass dragon type. Recall that in Gen 2 OU, it had a serious niche as a swords dancer, and suddenly everything starts to make sense. Of course, we're giving it Dragon Dance as well, so you can choose which of the two boosting options you want to use. Double Dance sets seem possible, but you'd have to give up either a stab option or Earthquake, which is definitely not completely impossible or unreasonable. So hey, it's there as an option. We think Meganium would generally stick to Dragon Dance or Swords Dance plus 3 attacks though. Anyway, that's mostly for you to decide. We're just giving you the tools. Speaking of, if Meganium became Grass Dragon and got Dragon Dance, it simply wouldn't do to have its current stat spread. We see no inconsistency in significantly increasing its attack stat. This is a dinosaur after all, and remember how strong its distant cousins the Longnecks were in the Land Before Time. So we're taking that quaint base 82 and cranking it to base 110. Just kidding, that's not nearly enough. We're cranking it to a base 125. A little gratuitous, maybe, but Meganium suffered long enough, and we want to see that vengeance unleashed in all its metagame smashing glory. As tempting as it was to use all 85 of our allotted base stat points in attack, we also need to make Meganium speedier. A plus 10 from base 80 to 90 seems completely reasonable, but we're actually making it a plus 11 boost, just so Meganium has the edge on other base 90s. Hey, base 91 is actually the same as Lumineon. It comes full circle. So we've spent 54 base points so far, leaving us 31. You know, Meganium's tanky, but it could stand to be updated for power creep. So we're going to bring that base 80 HP up by 20, bringing it to an even 100, which seems fair. Oh, that leaves us 11 points? Well, 5 to each defense, making it really tanky. And the last point we're throwing in attack, because it should be just a little bit stronger still. Wait, you say, Meganium has Outrage for Dragon Stab. Well, what about its Grass Stab? Surely the terrible Petal Blizzard isn't the answer. And no, it isn't. We're giving it Wood Hammer. While we're at it, we don't want to force it to lock into Outrage, so we're giving it Glaive Rush, because if Meganium can learn Swords Dance, then it makes perfect sense for this dragon form to learn that. Yes, that also means that theoretically Garchomp and Como-O should get this move, but that's also so not the point. Anyway, we still have an ability to give, and we have decided on adaptability, because this new Meganium has clearly adapted to its surroundings so well by leaning into its latent draconic abilities. And before you accuse us of overdoing it, yes, maybe. But also, if Crawdaunt can get this ability, so can our theoretical Meganium, man. We just want to see it throttle Zapdos, thinking it resists the stabs and Earthquake. Anyway, it'll still need support against the Steel Flying Gang, but everything else will tremble before Meganium. What a sentence to write. And that's it. It's fun getting creative with ways to make these Pokemon better. Even if some of our ideas are outlandish, it is surely preferable to the drab blandness of Game Freak's minor changes, if any are even made at all. Let us know what other forgettable Pokemon you'd fix. We might focus on them in a future video. Alternatively, let us know what you thought of our new Pokemon or how you'd change them yourselves. And we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, everyone. And as always, if you liked the video and you want to see more, be sure to subscribe to Fall Swipe Gaming for more weekly Pokemon content. Also, thank you so much to our patrons for continued support of our videos, and thank you to everyone else watching as well. And thank you so much to our Platinum tier patrons. Thank you so much to Raven Daytona Ring, Sorazan Croxon, Stoneface Colin, Bingleton, Ray Ray, Daniel Isbeast, Glitcherton, Alex Sabo, Funky, Skylaria, and Chica Chihyo for their support of our videos. And follow my crew on these social media platforms. And that's all I got. See you next time, everyone.